All right, so Loops by C-Dub. That's where that kind of came in. So I've heard the story about Hoop Triggerz. I'm gonna make you tell it again, But okay, Hoop Triggerz. This is what I want to know about Hoop Triggerz.
All right.
How? Okay, concept of how it came together. That's
All
that's
right.
that's that's the one side of it. That's the one. The B part to that question is when. What moment did it just
Okay.
and you was just like, you knew it was a thing. I'm pretty sure because we all do. We kind of know when we got
Yeah.
something. But at
Yeah.
what point did you really, that manifestation of, I got something here come in?
Right. So how it started, 1997. I was 17.
Dang.
I had an XP50,
Yep.
and I was just really just being funny. I recorded some
Mm-hmm.
chords in pattern mode or whatever, and I
Yep.
triggered with my keyboard. And I told my
Uh-huh.
brother one Sunday, I was like, "Don't even play. I put drums on here." But my dad preached, just sit over there, and
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna do it from right here. And we were just falling out laughing. I mean, we were kind of bad in church a little bit, but yeah, we were just falling out laughing because it was working. My dad, he was fine with it,
Yeah.
So it was like, and so anyway, fast forward years later, man, I was just, when I left my dad's church and moved to another church and then went to Friendship West and then moved to Atlanta. I think when I got to Atlanta, that's when it really hit me, because it's like, man, my dad still hasn't found a musician in the town we're from, because it just weren't any there. And I just started thinking, like, man, what if, like, that idea I had back then, what if there was a way to actually make that work, And so I never forget, I told Trent, it was after church, Trent Phillips. I said, man, just believe me when I say, one day there's gonna be somebody at the pulpit tapping a button, playing for themselves while they preach. He just fell out laughing. He said,
wow.
He knew me,
Yeah.
enough to know that I was serious.
Yeah.
And so, man, I got to work. I got in contact. No, main stage. I built it in main stage first.
Yep, I remember that. Yeah.
And it wasn't working like I really wanted to. I think the main thing was, only Apple users could use it. And so one of my friends came over one day and I was showing it to him. And I was like, yeah, I love this idea, but I got to get it to more people. And his best friend that came with him told me, he was like, man, why don't you put it in contact? That's like cross-platform. And I was like, you know what? So I scratched everything, put it in contact. I just became a contact developer out of nowhere. I don't even know.
Wow.
And then just put it out. And the first month, I'll never forget, man. The first time I showed this, it wasn't even an app then. Well, I mean, it was a PC or computer application.
Yeah.
And I was at this small church, man. It was a town smaller than my town. But there was like 10 musicians there and like 5 preachers, man. And I will never forget this day. This is the day. You want to know the day I knew it was going to be something?
Okay.
This is the day right here. I was showing it. I got up. I had a 55-inch screen TV behind me. I was going through it. It wasn't even 5 minutes into the presentation. You ever see when a preacher be up preaching and people start bringing money and throwing it at their feet?
Yeah.
Bro, I kid you not. I know it's on video somewhere. I promise you.
Wow.
I was doing my presentation and these pastors started walking up to me, handing me their credit card, throwing $120 at my feet. I kid you not. Ask my dad. He ain't showing a lot.
Wow.
And I said, man, y'all, let me finish the presentation. And this dude, he said, take my credit card and charge me. He said, don't even give it back till you charge me. I was like, and so I put his credit card in my pocket, and he just sat there. They sat there, and when I finished, the dude was like, charge me. He said, charge me right now. And that's when I knew. I was like, okay, I'm onto something.
Yeah, you're onto something.
But I ain't gonna lie, when I was doing it, every time I would advertise, people would buy it. But man, it was so hard getting people to know how to
use it,
like use contact or install it. It was just the installation was like crazy. Yeah. So that's when I was like, you know what, it's time to put this in the app format. Loose by C-Dub's doing good. Maybe this is something that might work on an app. And so I got to work on that and was scared to release it. I had it in the App Store, ready to release for 6 months. 6 months just sitting there.
Wow.
And I just was not going to push the release button. Yeah.
Wow. Why?
I was scared, man. I was like, man, these musicians gonna hate me.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
I
yeah,
said these people, they probably gonna laugh at it. Will the church really use it? My dad was using it already. And
Wow.
finally one day, like God was like, this is it.
Okay.
Do it. You know.
Yeah.
And man, I released it, and Warren Brown got a hold of it and messed around and did a video on one of his lives and broke. When I tell you the server crashed,
Jeez.
the server crashed because so many people downloaded it that night.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
it's crazy.
that's nuts. So that's I think that's dope. Just seeing the transition because you've had to learn the lessons and the things you learned working with Loops by C-Dub.
Yeah,
It transitioned and pushed you into the next thing that scaled you even higher. You know what I mean?
yeah,
To where you were before with that. I mean, you already had kind of like, already kind of broke the internet, so to speak, with Loops by Cedar because you had cats everywhere. I mean, I can remember just walking in and cats just they got the app, they got it plugged
yeah,
up, they playing the tracks, they running it from that. But then you figured out, okay, the next step, and it's just amazing how these just watching. I see the business
yeah.
behind it because it's just
Right.
the business mind of. I see
I
like
feel you.
the skill stacking that you had to do, the scarce skills that you developed, the
Mm-hmm.
scarce product, that you put together that allowed you to kind of transition into these things. And the biggest thing that I heard listening to that is that, and I think if anybody could catch this lesson, it would be because they say necessity is the mother of invention.
Mm-hmm.
So your product was developed and birthed out. I mean, you got the concept way back in '97, but what drove the passion, the
Yeah.
why, as I always say, the why that drove the product was I want to make sure my dad got music.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
I want to make
Yep.
sure that he's got music. And you figured out that passion is what drove it.
Yep.
And you got people to buy. They bought in. Like watching you and your pops on Steve Harvey. I know that was probably a
Yeah.
pivotal moment, but just seeing
Man,
that, I'm pretty sure that was full. Tell us about that. I'm pretty sure that was like a full circle moment right there.
bro. When I tell you, I'll never forget. I posted. I got to tell you really how that came
Okay,
about.
yeah. How did that
I'm gonna
come?
make this as short as possible, right?
Okay.
So I was at my office one day, getting off the elevator. Okay, there was a news reporter trying to interview people about being vegan. Everybody,
Okay.
everybody was just passing up. Nobody would take the time to listen to it, right?
Uh-huh.
So I had to go do something. Then I came back to the elevator. She was still there. I said, you know what, man? I said, I see you trying to get an interview. I said, what you trying to do? I said, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah. And so she interviewed me, and that was and so after that, I said, I asked her for a card. She gave me her card.
Mm-hmm.
I went straight to my office, emailed her. I said, hey, I got this app, this for preachers and stuff like that. And I explained to her. I said, I don't know, maybe something you want to do a story on one day.
Mm-hmm.
She emailed me back immediately and said, you know what? Because you took the time to give me this interview that I needed. She said, I'm sending my producer out here next week to
Wow.
interview you. We're gonna put you on the CBS News here in Atlanta.
Wow.
And so that happened. And when that aired and I got the video, I posted it on my page and I asked everybody to tag Steve Harvey. I said, everybody,
Mm-hmm.
just tag him. I said, I'm trying to get on the Steve Harvey Show. And so they did. Probably like 1,000 people did it. And one day I was just checking the message request section, like the spam mail,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That you don't ever look at. That's
Yeah.
where all the stuff is at in there, y'all. If you didn't know, not the regular inbox, but the
Yeah,
spam.
the
That's
spam.
where yeah. And so there was this lady, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm a producer for a show, and I'd like to talk to you." And I'm like, "Oh." So it was the Steve Harvey Show,
Wow.
and so they told me we want you to come out in 2 weeks. I was like, "Wow!" So this was like, I can't remember what part of the year it was, but and then the next thing you know, they emailed me back and said, we got to reschedule. I mean, I was hyped, man.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so when we doing it? And they were like, it's going to be in like October next year. We talking like 10 months away or something crazy like that. I just knew for sure they were just going to cancel it or whatever.
Yeah.
I want you to know I got on the next to the last episode that Steve Harvey did.
Right. Yeah.
The next to the last episode, they flew us out there. And I think the most surreal part, because I've been on talk shows before with artists and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you just do your sound check and get down and wait until it's time to play. Now this was different. Like I watched them build a set for me. Like
Wow.
that's like they were having a conversation about how to build a set for my segment. That was just surreal to see that. Like they're doing this for me.
Wow.
Like I'm the artist. You know,
Wow.
it was just, man,
Yeah.
it was just crazy, man. And just to be able to do it with my dad, man, you can't, man.
Yeah.
I tell everybody, my dad's the only person that's ever hooped on the Steve Harvey Show.
Oh,
Can't
for
nobody
real,
take it
for
away
real.
from him.
Straight up history.
Can't take
That's
that from us.
crazy.
So, yeah, that was surreal, man. Crazy.
No, definitely.